my gosh. Who is setting up these cameras? Hello everyone, this is Apples reporting, and welcome to devlog number 2. So yeah, I finished the script for the demo that's coming out presumably whenever I have time to program it. And it won't be for about a couple years. And just because I can't program something yet doesn't mean I can show you the full story of it. So let's go with the pad once again. So previously, Cameron made his way out of Apples & Co. And then Cameron makes his way into this actually pretty good concept drawing of Canvopolis. Very nicely done, Gnome. And there are civilians that you can go up and talk to. That's pretty neat. And as it turns out, Cameron actually wants to leave Canvopolis. The only problem is a circular Geominion is blocking the way. And the Geominion's not gonna let him through. So the only way to settle this is Cameron sick in every battle, oh yeah! And presumably Cameron would win the battle. But after Cameron makes his way out of Canvopolis, he suddenly loses confidence. He thought it was almost impossible to take on this evil curse alone. And as it turns out, he left for a reason. To find Adam. Lucky for Cameron, he knew exactly where Adam lived. His cabin. And luckily, Cameron had happened to make it into the woods, where he would eventually meet Bob. Bob's role was a tour guide to introduce newcomers to Oak Valley, and he was nicknamed the Oak Valley Whiz, because he knew almost everything about that town. And then out of the blue, Cameron asked Bob about Adam. And then Bob points and says, "Just along that trail of monsters." That sent shivers down Cameron's spine. And luckily, Bob offered to pitch along for the ride, which is where our next gimmick comes in. Gimmick number 3, timelines! Whenever you get asked a very important question, this music plays. Signaling that you can officially alter the timeline. If Cameron says yes, Bob will pitch along for the ride. If Cameron says no, Bob will feel sad and he cannot pitch along for the ride. Unless Cameron comes back and says yes. And saying I don't know will get Cameron absolutely nowhere, and the question will keep on repeating. This is exactly why timelines are such an important aspect to this game. Because if you select yes, Bob will pitch along aside Cameron, assisting him in battle. But if Cameron says no, he goes alone and is gonna have to deal with that for the rest of the game. You have a choice, and different choices lead to alternate timelines. Oh, and speaking of Bob's abilities, Bob has a slingshot. And his main ability is just to use his slingshot to shoot acorns at enemies. That's it. And after Cameron fights in a few battles or so, he's transported back into the beret in which Mr. Howe is introducing him to 2 more abilities. As you can see, 2 new things are in his profile. The charge meter and the penometer. The first ability is charging your emotion, which can be done by selecting Express, and then what you gotta do is press and hold A until your charge meter is completely full, and then once fully charged, you can release A to release all of that emotion into one big, joyful burst. The second ability is drawing a shape, which can be done by selecting Shape, in which a sub-menu will slide out from that option, giving Cameron multiple options, but this time he only has one, a circle. And then Cameron would draw the circle, removing a part of his penometer. And then a barrier is gonna surround Cameron, which will protect him from one missed guard. And then Cameron goes into a few more battles with or without Bob, depending on what he picked, until Adam's cabin has been reached. But then if you picked Bob to pitch along with you, he just leaves. Now Cameron enters the cabin, but what he doesn't know is that Bob is gonna come back sometime. Once Cameron has entered the cabin, he can finally talk to Adam. Oh, I forgot to mention. For some reason, some sort of evil force infected Adam, so Cameron has to fight Adam to free the curse. And while Cameron and evil Adam are fighting, let's hear some leaked Adam voice clips.